How you doing? Mr. DJ's back. Countdown my fancy playlist 20 years ago. Can you believe it's been 20 years ago of October 26, 1996, up to number 30. Up three from 33, a remake of Just Be Good to Me by Deborah Cox. Deborah Cox from Canada. I'll talk about her in just a minute. Gotta get into the original version, though, of Just Be Good to Me. I love the synthesizer, the keyboard, keyboard flourishes. It just that launched into the original version of this record back in the fall of 1983. Might have been the summer of 83, but it was in 1983. Originally done by the SOS Band. Produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. The original version. Only got as high as number 55 on Billboard's Hot 100. Probably a little too dance oriented, perhaps a little too R&B to become a massive pop crossover hit. Although I threw it on my fancy playlist, put it top 10 on my fancy playlist. I think back in 1983. But that was 1983. Now we're at 1996. But let's shift back just a little bit further into the early 90s. This is when Deborah Cox got into the music business. She sang backup for Celine Dion for about 6 months. I can see that because Celine Dion's an amazing singer, and then Deborah Cox, she's also a very amazing singer too. And Clive Davis signed her to his Arista record label in 1995. Music mogul Clive Davis. Got to read his biography. It's a fantastic book if you're to the music business. He discovered people like, he worked with Janis Joplin. He was at the Monterey Pop Festival in '65 when he spotted Janis Joplin, Clive Davis. 35 years old, I think, at the time, maybe a little bit younger. How hip is that? Later on, though, he discovered mainstream acts like Barry Manilow, Air Supply, which to some would be questionable, and I could see that. But he also made a massive discovery when he picked Whitney Houston, Clive Davis. Took a chance on Deborah Cox. Deborah Cox's first album came out in 1995. It was a self-titled album. Didn't do that great. There was a couple of singles. They're Sentimental and Who Do You Love? Who Do You Love? I remember that from the summer of '96, which was kind of a it was an okay R&B record. Went to number 17 on Billboard's Hot 100. Some major songwriting and producing talent went into this album, although it didn't do all that great. Babyface pitched in on this album. Daryl Simmons and Dallas Austin. Dallas Austin did some producing and some writing for this album. Dallas Austin, who wrote some hit records for TLC, probably best known for his work with TLC, and also he wrote some songs with Pink and Madonna as well. But her biggest hit, Deborah Cox's biggest hit, was Absolute Killer. Nobody's Supposed to Be Here went to number 2 on Billboard's Hot 100 in 1998. The slow version. I couldn't get into the slow version because I don't like slow records. But guess who co-wrote that song? I just found this out. Montel Jordan, the guy who did This Is How We Do It back in 1995, he wrote that record. Co-wrote it. I love the dance version of Nobody's Supposed to Be Here. The dance version just showcased her, Deborah Cox's amazing vocal talents as well as the slow version of that record. Hitline, Muzak's top 40 outlet, they played the heck out of the dance version of Nobody's Supposed to Be Here by Deborah Cox. But let's switch it back to 1996 on my fancy playlist at number 30. Deborah Cox from Canada, Just Be Good to Me.